Well, we got some pretty big issues brewing on Bay Street these days, and a lot of them have to do with the Minister of Finance, Jim Flaherty. In fact, there are a number of people on the street think he doesn't know what he's doing. And a number of politicians believe that as well. I'm joined by two of my colleagues. We have John McCallum of the Liberal Caucus. He is the finance critic, and also Scott Brison. And Scott, you're industry critic, correct?
Right.
And Scott's also on the platform campaign. So he's going to be an important guy when the election rolls along. Now, you two gentlemen went to Bay Street yesterday, and you expressed some very serious concerns about the impact of this government's policies on the vibrancy of the business community itself. Tell me what the message was. John, first.
The basic message is that this interest deductibility rule, which no longer will companies be allowed to deduct interest when they borrow money to buy companies overseas, that may sound complicated, but the basic fact of the matter is, in a global world, companies need that to survive and thrive. All of our competitor countries, Japan, Europe, United States, their companies can do that. So this government is tying one hand behind our backs when our companies go out and compete with the rest of the world. And couple that with the income trust disaster, where we have our income trust, energy trust at bargain basement prices, foreign vultures coming in and picking them off. It's as if this government intentionally has tilted the playing field in favor of Wall Street and against our own homegrown companies. And that's bad for Canada and bad for jobs. And I don't think Mr. Flaherty knows what he's doing.
Now, Scott, the whole issue of income trust, of course, not only has it decimated the savings, $25 billion of a lot of seniors, but as John said, now we are seeing some very significant impacts on Bay Street. You spent a long time on Bay Street. I mean, you know how the street works. What's the general philosophy and view right now of Mr. Flaherty? I've heard some people say he's the worst finance minister we've ever had.
See, we're seeing a rash of takeovers and takeover attempts of Canadian companies. Particularly troubling are the takeovers in the energy trusts. Energy is an area where Canada should be leading. Energy is an area where we should be establishing multinational success stories based here in Canada. Instead, we're losing our energy companies and our energy trusts. The fact is, in the modern hyper-competitive global economy, a company is either growing by acquiring others, or it's going to get acquired. What we've effectively done, and what the Harper government has done, is put a big fire sale sign on Canadian corporations, and is basically turning Canada into a branch plant economy or a company store economy on a permanent basis. We have the capacity to lead. The only way we can lead, the only way we can be full participants in the global economy is if multinational corporations can be based in Canada and can invest around the world. We have effectively, through the most recent budget, the Conservative government has really hurt the competitiveness of our Canadian multinational companies, and it would be hard to understand why a Canadian company or why a multinational corporation would want a headquarter in Canada after the most recent budget by the Conservatives, which really hurt their ability to compete and succeed globally.
Now, this is all rather ironic, seeing that it is Stéphane Dion, the Liberal Party, that now seems to be coming to the defense of capitalism. This is not exactly what Mr. Harper and the guys across the aisle would want Canadians to believe. John, do you see any irony here?
I see a little bit of irony. You sometimes associate conservatives with banks and Bay Street. These are not that. These are populist conservatives. If they can get a vote or two by bashing banks in Bay Street and taking some Canadian companies down, they'll do it to appeal to voters out in rural Alberta or wherever. So I have nothing against voters in rural Alberta, but I do think a responsible government, whether Liberal or Conservative, has to be concerned for jobs for the future, the health of our companies, the ability of our companies to compete around the world. I think that's common sense, unless you're simply fixated with short-term electoral gain, which is where this government stands. So I think Stéphane is speaking reasonably, intelligently. Any government that is responsible, who understands a modicum of economics and where the global economy is going, would undertake the kinds of policies we're advocating. So it's they who are out of step with the world, not us.
Last question, Scott. Diana Blonsky, Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of Finance, Jason Kenney, newly appointed to Cabinet, both had recent meetings in their ridings on income trusts. They did not go well. This was in Calgary, supposedly conservative heartland. Is there a seething anger out there on the income trust issue? Because Mr. Flaherty would have us believe this is just a Bay Street issue and it's over.
This is a Main Street issue, and when you lose $25 billion of hard-earned savings of Canadians, a lot of them retirees, it's very much a Main Street issue. It's also an economic sovereignty issue. Canadians are concerned that the future of our country and our economic future is determined in part by Canadian companies, by Canadian players. We're not protectionists. We're not talking about building walls around the country and keeping foreign investment out. We want more foreign investment. But we want our Canadian companies to be able to invest and grow internationally and to have those head office jobs right here. And with the decision by the government to tax income trusts, they broke a promise. They also made vulnerable our Canadian income trusts, particularly our energy trusts, to foreign takeover. And with the most recent decision to eliminate the interest deductibility of foreign investments, they have effectively gutted the competitiveness of Canadian head office foreign, or rather multinationals.
All right, well, gentlemen, thank you both. Yeah, of course you can. Yes.
You asked about Calgary.
All right, a message to Calgary, Mr. McCallum.
I was just there a week ago.
Yes, you were.
Calgary's a place where Liberals have not won a seat since 1968. And yet it seemed like Calgary was the capital of liberalism. We had a room packed to overflowing with more than 300 people on this subject. Many people came up to the mic saying, I am a conservative, been conservative all my life, never again. And then those same people went over to Jason Kenney's meeting and Diana Blonsky's meeting earlier and passed exactly the same message. So you are seeing a grassroots uprising in Calgary, of all places, dead opposed to this government on the subject of income trusts.
Not only that, there are 300 guys in Brioni suits holding a vigil in front of BCE Place this afternoon.
300 guys in suits and a vigil.
No, I was just joking. You're not going to show that part. Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Gentlemen, thank you very much. I appreciate that. Now, listen, don't forget, we have an income trust meeting. Thank you, guys. We have an income trust meeting coming up in the riding. It is the 26th of April. That's a Thursday evening at the Boyne Centre. If you've been an income trust investor, come on out, because there's lots that can be done still to try and influence this government from its ways that, as you've heard, are not helping the economy and not helping investors. More after this.